What was your oh hell nah moment in a relationship that made you leave? I had just been medically discharged from the Navy, honorable, and not relative to backstory other than to set mood. I started dating a girl I met around 2 weeks after returning home, and 6 months into the relationship she developed a tumor, cancer, and I had to drive her to radiation therapy and doctor's appointments 2 to 3 times a week. We lived around an hour apart, but we made it work, and I'd drive to her after I got out of college classes and drop her off at her appointments, go back to another class and then come pick her up and take her home. Fast forward a year later into the relationship, her younger sister informed me that she had been lying to me the entire time and that she in fact did not have cancer but was using me to drop her off to her side piece who worked at the hospital. To make it worse, both of her parents knew about it and neither felt it was necessary to inform me. Never saw her again, never even really ended it, just never went back her way, and have been better for it ever since. My ex-boyfriend was angry his mom woke him up at 10 in the morning via duct phone call, so after the call, he punched a hole in his door, threw his phone at the window, woke me up forcefully, and yelled at me to buy a new door so his parents wouldn't kick him out. I had a psycho college roommate who called his mom a bitch because she called him at 7 p.m. and he was napping. They talked 4 to 6 hours a day, every day. If I ever called my mom a bitch, next time anyone would hear from me would be in my will. When I was 16-17, I dated a guy who was in town for the summer. He was so cool, I thought, and I had a car so I would drive us on dates and junk. He really made my heart flutter. If I said no to him, he'd get upset a bit, but it didn't seem to be a huge issue. Like, if he wanted me to drive him somewhere to drop him off to hang with his friends, normally I would, but a few times, it was like a 30 minutes drive and I said no. Then he hit me once. We were in the car and he wanted me to drop him off at a girl's house and I asked why. He wouldn't really answer and then admitted that he was using me for my drug connections and my car. I was surprised and said no. I'd drop him off where he was staying and then we were done. He hit me. I pulled over and kicked him out of my car and drove away. Ex-wife started an argument with me one morning when I was headed to the funeral of a childhood friend. I asked if she could not do this right now. Her response was, "Oh, poor you." That was the beginning of the end. My ex would tell me about all the dreams he was having about killing me in vivid detail. She got really upset at me at a party, nothing I did, and started a huge verbal argument. Then I demanded that we leave because it was inappropriate to do this as guests in someone's home. On the way to our place, she hit me a bunch of times demanding answers for someone that I slept with before we even met. She got even more angry and physically violent once we got home, to the point where I had to restrain her before she hurt me or herself for that matter. She screamed to let me go and that if I didn't she would scream for the police. She looked me in the eye then said, "Who are they going to believe?" For context, we're both roughly 5'11", but I've got about 80 pounds on her. I'm a black man, she's a white woman. I have never been more afraid of being shot by the police than that night. He told me that a few years before we met, he and his friends secretly filmed a girl that I knew, but I didn't like her so I guess he felt safe telling me for some stupid reason, while she was in the shower. He even went through certain things that she did, like slipping. They were at senior week and she was so drunk, like that makes it okay, oh, and they were all drunk too so make it make sense. He was obviously super proud of himself and thought it was hilarious. I was so disgusted with him and his shitty friends. And yes, I told her about it. 5-year relationship and a house and kid together. She left at 3 a.m. after we had some drinks and was with some guy driving around until 5 a.m. Panicked when I woke up and she wasn't there. Called her, was rude to me, hung up then wouldn't answer at all after. I got scared since this never happened before and she had some drinks. We shared location on our phones and she was out on a dirt road miles away where we usually go off-roading. She was hanging with some guy because apparently she needed someone to talk to and it wasn't me. This really broke my trust with her, and after that things just declined and I became more distanced. Broke my heart. I was on a trip out of town with him and we were out to dinner with one of his friends. I can't remember what we were talking about, but he said something and I corrected him because what he said was factually wrong. When he tried to argue, his friend backed me up and also pointed out that he was wrong. This enraged him, though at the time I didn't know it. He waited until his friend went to the bathroom and then grabbed a fistful of my hair and pulled my head down so forcefully it hit the seat of the booth. He'd been a raging a-hole for most of the relationship and I was pretty much over the relationship at this point due to his constant temper tantrums, but this crossed such a line that I was completely stunned. Even more stunned that no one in a crowded restaurant seemed to notice or care. I've never been so scared. I knew in that moment that if I stayed and left that restaurant with him, there was a very likely chance he was going to hurt me. It took me a few minutes to process/gather myself, but I realized this was beyond messed up and I had to get the hell out now. I excused myself to the bathroom, called an Uber, and went straight to the airport, which was only a few minutes away. I told the agent I needed the soonest flight to my home city. There was one leaving in 15 minutes. I had none of my stuff, the airport was empty, and I think she could sense my urgency, so she called the gate and I made on the plane. By the time my phone began ringing from him realizing I was gone, I was buckling my seat. Found him lurking near my house a few times after that, but made it real clear I would go to the police full force if it continued, which luckily scared him off. It took me a long time to process everything, and I still get spooked when I see vehicles like his, but I'm super grateful I made it out when I did. As always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, show your support. Leave your thoughts and opinions down below.